Happy Friday here inside the vault. It's the 18th of July. Welcome inside the channel for a Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. I'm Bobby Trossett. She is Sarah Ellison, sporting one of the many items that came in your haul. This is, of course, the end of week one of our soft launch, the vaultpod.com, and our first ever merch line, apparel line, is live for those that are channel members, patrons, and or Discord community members. Mine is on its way. Yours came during our post-show meeting yesterday. I had a chance to watch you unbox it, which was a lot of fun. You can go see it on my Instagram. Sarah putting on her hat for the first time, putting on her tank tops that came in, I should say. So 24 hours later, are you pleased with your purchases?
I'm halfway pleased. I realized I needed to get way more. I started off thinking about my workouts, but I don't want to wear like my workout gear on here. I feel like it's a little inappropriate. So I was like, wait a minute, I got to order more stuff. I need the t-shirts. I need the hoodies. I need the crew necks. I need all of it.
Well, speaking of more, and I feel the same way, right? Like mine was like just over $50. I was like, okay, that could be quadruple that, and I still wouldn't be satisfied, especially when our girl Carly, literally hours after our meeting yesterday, we're thinking to ourselves, oh, maybe she'll have these new requested items up on the site by training camp or by next week at some point. Nope. It took like literally 3 or 4 hours for her to go with the Vault Under Armour men's polo in a bunch of different colors, which is that golfy kind of meshy material. That's awesome. You've got, what else did we throw up there? The bucket hat in a couple different editions, one with the Vault, one with the wheel. That is by request. We're listening to you guys, and we had some of our own thoughts as well. What was the third item that went up, Sarah? It was the bucket hat?
It was the bucket hat. It was the polo, and more. You keep calling it mesh, but I think it's more.
Oh, it's right
here. There you go.
T-shirt. Yeah, the dry fit. The dry fit.
Dry fit.
Yep. Which is Under Armour.
Which is the one. Yeah. That's the kind I want to order.
And just to be abundantly clear for the audio only audience, the description is elevate your workouts with the Under Armour athletic T-shirt. It's light, quick drying fabric. Makes it a must for running, hiking, or hitting the gym. So
there you go. And I want to look into, because I do like the snapback hat. It's obviously a little bit bigger, but I also want to try the dad hat to see how that looks, because I think it's a little bit smaller.
Okay.
So you know what I mean? I might do that with the wheel. We'll see.
Ironically, this is what my dad wants. He wants the wheel dad hat.
There you go.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. He wants the Vault dad hat.
Which he can also get, right? Which is right there. Yeah. That's actually what I probably would get. Yeah.
Yep. So we've been super excited this week for this rollout, and it's really blown us away the way that you guys have responded to it. I do want to address a couple things that I've seen in our YouTube comment section.
Yeah.
Folks are saying, why isn't this accessible to everyone? Mm-hmm. We've been talking about it ad nauseum for those of you who never miss a minute of our show. But for those that pop in and out, which is the time of year, it's before the season begins and whatnot, just know that this coming Wednesday, it'll be available at thevaultpod.com to everyone. It'll end up being about 8 days or so where it's been only available and accessible via password that we've sent out to our channel members, patrons, and Discord community members. The reason for that is, one, to reward our most loyal folks. Everybody's loyal, but those that are paying customers, that's what it comes down to from a business decision. And two, more importantly than that, we needed to give our design team and Carly a chance to make tweaks and listen to feedback from you. So needless to say, we have up until Wednesday essentially to listen to more feedback. We always will be. But before this thing goes live, if you have something that's been on your mind since we rolled this thing out on Monday, we want to hear from you. BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. You can DM us on social media. You can hit us up on the YouTube comment section. We'll try to focus on as many inquiries as we get. But the easiest to reach us is by email, BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. So looking forward to that official launch coming up next week for everybody, partner.
And we did talk about, just so everybody knows, a more cold weather launch of stuff. So we will be getting joggers. We will get more cold weather stuff to go along with these things. And I'm seeing questions about kids wear, all of it. Yes, we can keep rolling out different stuff. we're just going with the basics for now to get this done.
Love it. I should have mentioned this off the top. This episode is brought to you by our friends at BMore Around Town. We'll tell you more about them in just a bit here. And there's a great deal that Brian and his team have available for you. If you book a full Ravens away trip experience with BMore, you're going to receive 2 complimentary VIP purple tailgate passes to a 2025 home tailgate of your choice. So go check it out. You can find that information in the show notes, also as a pinned comment. In terms of the football content today, in about 20 minutes time, Warren Sharp, NFL analyst, very popular football personality in the, not only really in all of the content space. On Twitter is where he's massive. He joins us. He's going to be promoting his new book. And you already know we're going to talk to him about how he fights the good fight when it comes to backing Lamar Jackson. But first, Kyle Van Noy went nuclear on X yesterday, Sarah. I thought he was the golden boy. I thought he was the guy who didn't use any curse words and or the good old boy. Not exactly yesterday on social media. He torched that anonymous NFL executive that released some thoughts that we didn't necessarily disagree with, at least at times last year, when it comes to evaluating and analyzing Roquan Smith. So we'll begin there. We'll also talk about big AFC North news for Pittsburgh, quick hits, and a number of other things. But Sarah, how can we not begin with this? Here it is, as we have already covered. The quote in part read, quote, "I think he needs to get in better shape. Looks a little sluggish at times." That's from an AFC anonymous executive. Did it say AFC at Sarah attached to it? I can't remember what you had yesterday on our slides.
It right there, it says NFL assist on the tweet, but I'll go check it out as you read it.
So basically, it's an anonymous NFL assistant. And there is something that when it is anonymous, as we've seen when it comes to Lamar coverage over the years, that feels a little slimy. Like put your name on it in a sense, right? Especially when you're going to be hypercritical. Now, we want to be clear. Sarah and I are going to stand, I think you are too, partner, by what we said yesterday. There were times last year, particularly in that opening quarter of the season, that Roquan did not look himself. He was a half step behind at times, and he looked a little out of condition, if you will, for what we've grown accustomed to seeing from the All-Pro. To his credit, he still puts forth an All-Pro, Pro Bowl caliber season at the linebacker position last year, and I'm sure we're going to expect a big bounce-back campaign for him coming up. Kyle Van Noy, Sarah, I think, is in that camp as well, because he tweets back at Ravens Nation Live, who transcribed what I just read for you from that Jeremy Fowler piece on the anonymous NFL exec. And here goes KVN from the top rope, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of this graphic. "Hey, Jay Fowler, tell that NFL assistant to EAD." I don't know how much we want to censor this, but I think you guys probably can gather what he means by EAD, that acronym. He says, "Because Agent Zero is on some shiz, and you are a B for hiding. Put your name on it." Sarah, this was out of left field from Kyle. Okay, we all know he's setting up his media career post-football in recent months. This was something, and it made its rounds on social media last night.
Live chat's cracking me up. They're like, "Eat a donut?"
Let's go with that on this Friday.
I'm going to take this off for a minute. I like wearing hats in the sun, but first of all, to answer your question, it was an NFL defensive assistant. That's what we know. We don't know if it's AFC or NFC, but we know he's a defensive assistant, which means he's a coach. And maybe, I don't know, he could be in charge of linebackers for all we know. We don't know what assistant coach he would be. So that's number one, to answer your question. Number two, which you kind of alluded to, I think multiple things can be true here at once. What this anonymous NFL defensive assistant said is something that many Ravens fans said last year, and it's something that you and I said on the show, which is that he just wasn't playing up to par. He looked like he may have been a little bit, it felt like he put on a couple more pounds than we're used to. And whether it was that or the overall issues with the defense overall, I don't know. But Roquan wasn't himself yesterday. Okay, or yesterday,
Yeah.
last season.
Yeah.
So that we stand by, and what this NFL assistant is saying, I agree with. We said that a couple days ago when this first came out. Okay. Now, it's also true that I love it when teammates go to bat for one another. Okay. I'm sure Roquan has seen this. Roquan is going to try to respond with his pads. We've already seen that Roquan has reported to OTAs and mandatory minicamp looking like normal Roquan, the Roquan we've known since before last season. So that's also true. Okay. And the third thing, listen, you and I put our name on everything that we say. I don't have a burner account. I don't think you have a burner account. Like that doesn't exist. I do have an account where I can test how photos look and whatnot, but I've never posted from it. It's private. It's whatever. But you and I do not do things anonymously, and maybe that's why Roquan unfollowed you last season after he was a guest on our show for so many times, because you put your face on an assessment that is similar to this. That being said, I don't hate all anonymous reporting. And I think that them by attacking that it's anonymous is evading the fact that what was said had some merit to it. Do you know what I mean? Like almost all reporting, you get into politics, you get into almost anything in the news, it's usually sources say, right? And so this is a very normal journalistic avenue where a source will talk to you, but they don't want to put their name on it. It's always better if they put their name on it, but I guarantee you that most people have consumed news and believe the news from anonymous sources. And so the fact of the matter is we won't get some of these quotes, or we won't get news without some anonymity. Okay, so you and I choose to put our face on everything that we think and say. Others don't. It's a part of the news business. So I don't hate that it's anonymous. And I think by them attacking that part detracts from some truth to it. That said, I love KVN going to bat for his teammate. And I love that Roquan has already started his, comeback tour by reporting to camp looking like the old Roquan.
I think that's a great way to put it. Super level-headed. We acknowledge both sides. I'm with you lockstep that entire take. Torrey Smith, one of the many to have weighed in on this since Kyle Van Hoy again kind of set this thing on fire last night. Sarah, we thought it was kind of not swept under the rug, but it didn't garner a ton of attraction when it first made the Twitter rounds. Well, once Kyle said what he said, then everybody started kind of piggybacking. And here's Torrey saying, anonymous is another way to say, quote, ain't got nuts. If you're going to challenge a player's commitment, stand on it. Keeps him motivated, though. The city needs it. He is going to ball. So, again, Kyle's rallying around his teammate. Torrey rallying around a team that he still covers closely. He typically does those broadcasts with Ravens Productions a couple times a year. Sometimes he even sits in as a color analyst next to Jerry Sandusky in the play-by-play booth. So this is what you expect, though, from the brotherhood, right? It's a fraternity. You expect this to go up against the anonymous NFL executive. It's the player versus the front office in a sense. And all you can hope, Sarah, is that this energy, if you're Roquan, is channeled in the correct ways. And guess what? He's got a darn good track record of talking his talk and backing it up on the field. I expect that to continue this upcoming season, even though he's yet to really talk. He hasn't talked much at all, particularly about this. He has not had a press conference since this. I'm sure coming up next week, he will be scheduled, Sarah, at Podium, and he might be asked about this if a reporter's been watching. So we will be watching, of course, coming up next week.
Absolutely.
I tell you what.
Go ahead.
You go ahead first.
I was just going to wrap up the anonymous rankings that we hadn't gotten to.
Please do.
Okay. So we didn't get to these earlier because there were no Ravens on it, but the top 10 rankings by position by these anonymous sources has concluded. They did a top 10 corners list. Nobody from the Ravens made the top 10. However, Marlon Humphrey was an honorable mention with a quote from an NFL coordinator. He says, quote, he's best in the slot at this stage, but he's such a natural in there, very disruptive, and can get the ball physical. So I don't know. I thought Marlon had a great comeback year last year. I don't know, feels like he should be, in the, I don't know, top 8 maybe being able to take off some of these other guys. Meanwhile, they did a top wide receivers list, which I don't know that a wide receiver from the Ravens has ever made this. And Zay Flowers, despite having a Pro Bowl year, also did not make it. The top 10 that did make it was Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Malik Neighbors, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Garrett Wilson. There's your top 10. Not only did Zay Flowers not make that, he also didn't make an honorable mention. And then after that, they just show if anybody got any votes. Zay Flowers did not get a single vote from anybody anywhere in the top 10.
A lot of competition. Great for him to use as personal motivation, I'm sure. Not that he needs any of it. Great start for him over the first couple years. Really don't have a problem with him, being quote unquote snubbed from the top 10. I think he's, for Baltimore's purposes, he's everything they need. And the expectation is for him to continue on that upward trajectory. And ultimately, Sarah, I know we both believe this, be the first Ravens wide receiver to truly cash in with hopefully, for his sake, a notable extension in the coming years.
Yeah, and meanwhile, now that it's all wrapped up, Jeremy Fowler noted the teams with the most players in the top 10s at different positions. The Eagles, not surprisingly, coming off of a Super Bowl win, had the most. They've got 10 players in these top 10 rankings. Then the Lions and Ravens are tied for second with 8. Chiefs with 7, and then the Bucks with 6, which is why we keep saying the Ravens have a Super Bowl caliber roster. And maybe a couple guys could join this list in 2025 because other than the Eagles, the Ravens have the most guys who people around the league think are the top 10 at their spots.
Jeremy Fowler, the king of dominating July, huh? And the news cycle that comes with it every single year.
He knows when to drop it, for sure.
Goodness gracious. 7 minutes out from bringing on NFL analyst from sharpfootballanalysis.com, Warren Sharp. We got to do a couple things prior. There's a few super chats first and foremost that we missed off the top that we're going to want to address. One of which from Douglas H. Brown Sr. warrants our attention. I'll tell you why in just a minute. But first, this episode is brought to you by our friends at Be More Around Town. And if you go to the site that's included in the show notes and as a pinned comment, you can see everything that Brian Snyder and his wonderful team have in store for you this upcoming season. That is purple road trips. That is purple tailgates. You name it, they do it. And I can vouch for this because I've been on the road with them to London overseas. I've been to Buffalo with them, and I've worked every single home tailgate over the last 2 seasons with them. They are exceptional at what they do, and they provide awesome service. And here's what they have available to our Voltrons. If you book a full Ravens away trip experience with Be More, you're going to receive 2 complimentary VIP purple tailgate passes to a 2025 home tailgate of your choice. All you got to do is you email Brian at BeMoreAroundTown.com if you book your trip or once you book your trip in order to redeem those complimentary VIP home purple tailgate passes. All this information can be found in the show notes, by the way. So all you essentially have to do, you book your spot, you pack your bags and show up. It's a seamless way to travel. Buffalo, by the way, is week 1 Sunday Night Football. That's going to be hosted by the great C-Mac, Chris McAllister. At the time of Brian's note to us, there were only 20 spots that remained. There is a tailgate-only option for those of you that are getting to Buffalo in other modes, or maybe you live up in Western New York or somewhere within close range of Buffalo. So there is a Buffalo tailgate-only option. At the time of our email, Kansas City, that road trip had only 33 spots that were left up for grabs. Jamal Lewis is going to host the tailgate in Miami. That's 79% full. Minnesota's got less than 25% availability. Green Bay is probably the most popular trip outside of Miami all year long, being that it's Christmas time and just the fact that it's Lambeau. There's only 12 spots remaining there, and you've got a number of others, including the AFC North road trips to consider as well. So there you have it. BeMoreAroundTown.com. Here's where you can place your deposit. You already know, Sarah, the rematch of that divisional round game in Buffalo, Sunday Night Football. Josh versus Lamar, Bills versus the Ravens, two blue-collar fan bases going after each other. That's going to be pure cinema coming up in a couple months from now. Under 2 months from now, actually, if we're counting. What did you tell me the other day? The 50-day countdown's on?
Yeah, we're at 48 now.
Who's counting? Oh, boy. Thanks to Be More Around Town for the continued support. Okay, so this is what we missed there. This is what I was alluding to a little while ago. Douglas H. Brown Sr. has been on his you-know-what pre-show all week long.
Mm-hmm.
And what he's done today warrants our attention. He got things started at 11:20, 40 minutes before tip-off. And he says he got his second item of Ravens Vault merch today, the khaki wheel logo snapback cap. I'm feeling happy and generous. Well, that's the case because Sarah, he then after the $10 super chat with the yellow banner, decides to gift 5 additional Voltron channel memberships, I should say, and then throws in another $5 super chat, which I'll let you take.
Says Sarah and Bobby, the wheel logo snapback cap is dope. Am I too old to use that term? Don't feel like it today. Thanks. I don't know how old you are, Douglas H. Brown, but I say no, you're not too old.
And if that wasn't enough, this is just mind-blowing. Okay? At 11:25, 5 minutes after his first super chat, and his 4th of the day at this time, who knows what he's done since.
35 minutes before the show starting.
Okay. I have a challenge for you Voltrons this morning. I will match your gift giving, except the almighty PHP, which we totally understand why. We got to get more people access to this show. He has been putting on his recruiting hat. Not only has he cashed in on thevaultpod.com, Sarah, but this guy has single-handedly started to compete with some of our most generous gift givers by giving folks an opportunity to become channel members and also really supporting the show a lot. Unbelievable support.
He says he's 70 years old. I still feel like it's okay.
Man, DHBSR is in the house today. Thank you so much, Douglas. Should we rip through some more before we bring on Warren?
Yes.
All right. Monica Reinsfelder is celebrating 3 months of channel membership. So good to have you, Monica, and happy Friday. She writes, 3-month member, proud to be a Voltron. Thanks both for all of you. Thank you both for all that you do. Love the merch and order. Let's go. So happy for next week. Awesome, Monica. Congratulations on 3 months of channel membership. We have a boatload of new members. I do want to say happy birthday and a shout out to Lisa Frankel that you mentioned earlier on. It is her birthday today, so we've officially reached her actual date of birth. So shout out, Lisa. And I believe we'll pick up with another one from Douglas H. Brown Sr.
He says, PHP, don't make it personal, dude. I love you and your brilliance. I just don't have the deep pockets as you.
We totally get it, man. Let's see. Kane Prod likes your hat, as we all do.
Boop, boop.
Asmodeus says, I need Bojita, with Bobby having Vegeta hair. And then there's that hat that you talk about. Sort of like a flat rim version. It's the non-dad hat, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Snapback.
What does Richard say? I need Bojita with Bobby having Vegeta hair.
He basically wants, I think, the merch with Bojita.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll just say this. All right. There's an in-person consultation booked with Bosley. All right. It's booked.
Boom.
Booked. Coming up next week in New York.
And for those that don't know, Bosley's the hair transplant company. Yes.
Liv B, channel member. What will it take to get the tanks in purple? Now, let's check her work here quickly. Not that I don't believe you, Liv, but let's just check.
Sometimes they'll ask for options that are already there.
Yeah, let's just double check. Sorry, I got to go over here for a second. Shirts and tanks. Let's check the wheel first. No purple option there. And the vault, no purple option there.
Okay. Well, we'll ask Carly. That'll take an email to Carly.
We've got one more and no purple there. And I think Carly's already in the live chat, so she could very well be with us right here. And she's right. Liv is right. Okay. Again, not to do you like that, Liv, but just wanted to make sure so we could check ourselves.
Meanwhile, Heather McCubbins was the first to answer Douglas's call, and she gifted a membership. Thank you, Heather. Let's see. Lewis says, it says my password is wrong for merch.
Okay, email us.
Yeah.
Email us, Lewis, or you can shoot. Aren't you a patron too? I mean, you can hit us up in a bunch of different ways, and I'll make sure you have everything you need.
All right. Heather gave a second membership. Maybe we can end with this because I think I see our next guest coming up. Park Heights Prophet. You got it, Bobby?
Absolutely. PHP checking in. He heard Douglas H. Brown Sr. causing some commotion, so he's like, I'm here now. I'm here. TGIF Voltrons. Mike Green is in the building. One working day until training camp begins with everyone. Football is back. And shout out to Douglas Brown. Remember, my donation is your donation. Can't wait to hear Warren, and that is the perfect segue because Warren Sharp is in our waiting room. Let's make sure we give him his due prior to coming on. So first of all, we're going to learn a little bit about the new book. That'll be a big part of this. It's sharpfootballanalysis.com. You can hit him up on social media at Sharp Football. And we are very pleased to not only bring in somebody that's been backing Lamar Jackson consistently for what feels like weeks now, if not months, if not years, but somebody that is revered in the media community. Warren, great to have you on, man, and congratulations on the launch of your new book. Can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been years. It's almost been half a decade. It feels like it's been over half a decade since I've been backing Lamar and encouraging this team. Once, that first year when he came in and took over for Joe Flacco, the team was very conservative. They were running the football, and I was pounding the table that offseason heading into 2019. Let him throw on early downs, let him open up the offense. And then Lamar goes on and the Ravens have a ridiculously great 2019 season. So I've been a huge Lamar backer since the very start in Baltimore, recognizing what he brings to this team. And you guys wouldn't be where you are without him. I don't think that you have John Harbaugh here without him. I think he saved John Harbaugh's job. I think Lamar still gets underrated league-wide just because of a couple hiccups in postseason games that aren't necessarily always his fault. So, yeah, I'm a huge Lamar fan.
Yeah, I can still remember when you were writing for him in those early years when people just kept calling him a running back. And yet here we are going into year 8, and it still seems like people are missing the boat. It's just still not coming along. Going into the 2025 season, what do you think people are still missing about Lamar Jackson?
I mean, Lamar Jackson was the best quarterback passing the football last year in the entire NFL. He was number 1 in EPA per attempt. You say, oh, well, can he throw outside the numbers? He was number 1 in EPA throwing outside the numbers, number 1 throwing when he's outside the pocket, number 1 on early downs without play action, no added benefit of disguise or anything, just drop back, throw the ball without play action on early downs, best in the NFL. So best against zone, best against too high, best in the fourth quarter when it matters. I mean, I'm literally talking about the number 1 best quarterback. So most people, it bothers me. I know you guys compete with quarterbacks like Joe Burrow and Josh Allen, and you're going to have to compete with both those quarterbacks heading into the postseason. But what bothers me is that we take the time to have to hear, we do in the media, other media members as well as other fans throw stones at some of the very best quarterbacks in the NFL and act as if those are the reasons that they aren't winning games. Like as if Josh Allen is the reason that the Buffalo Bills aren't winning games. Josh Allen carries the entire Buffalo Bills. Take a look at Sean McDermott's defense, as if like Joe Burrow is the reason that the Cincinnati Bengals aren't winning games. Why don't you take a look at that defense and where they rank? Take a look at that offensive line and where they rank. So it's the same thing is true with Lamar Jackson. Just because these guys aren't able to make it over the Kansas City Chief mountain, right, which is Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, 2 of the best in their craft in NFL history, working together at the apex of their careers with everything that they've learned. That's very difficult to get past that. And one of these guys is going to get past it. For your sake, hopefully it's Lamar Jackson soon this year in 2025. But to be that AFC representative and then to be able to hoist that Lombardi trophy, like that's obviously the ultimate goal. But just because a quarterback isn't able to do that doesn't mean he's a bad quarterback, doesn't mean he can't do it in the future. But that's what so many other people out there want you to believe, and it's just not true. And so I am on a crusade this offseason, it feels like, to try to illuminate the fact that just because a quarterback doesn't host the Lombardi Trophy does not mean he's not carrying his team, does not mean he's an elite quarterback, one of the best that we've ever seen. And that is the absolute case with Lamar Jackson.
Particularly when you've seen this upward positive trajectory in the postseason, which has been his knock over the years. And one of the things that you've spent your offseason ranking and listing out was the best performing, high performing quarterbacks in the fourth quarter, aka crunch time in 2024, and leading the list, to no one's surprise. Maybe you just listed it off in the litany of stats that you came guns a-blazing in to this segment, but Lamar was the top guy. And we saw that last year in that divisional round game when it mattered most. Yes, the first half was to be forgotten. There were turnovers in there. It wasn't clean. But ultimately, without his two top wide receivers, he rose to the occasion in the fourth quarter. Yet you still have that narrative that's attached to him when it comes to the postseason. What's it going to take to shed that thing? And will he ever shed it within this media frenzy that we live in?
Well, he absolutely will. Unfortunately, what it's going to take is winning a Super Bowl, but he should have already shed it based upon his performance. I don't think people realize, if you look at Lamar Jackson, there are 19 quarterbacks with 50 plus pass attempts in the last 4 years in the postseason. Lamar Jackson, out of those 19 quarterbacks in the last 4 years, ranks number 4 in yards per attempt, number 6 in EPA per play, number 6 in completion rate, and number 7 in success rate. We are definitely talking about a top 10 quarterback in the postseason, when everybody's saying, well, forget the regular season, you can't get it done in the postseason. He's a top 5 to top 10 quarterback statistically in the postseason. His EPA per play is better than Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, both who were in the Super Bowl last year, both who won the last 2 Super Bowls, Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert, and Brock Purdy, among others. His yards per attempt is 4th best, higher than Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, Joe Burrow, et cetera, et cetera. So he is getting it done statistically in the postseason. Everything hasn't come together from a team perspective, whether it's defense, whether it's turnovers, whether it's catching the football, whether it's dropping a 2-point conversion, whatever the case might be, it hasn't come together yet for the Baltimore Ravens. And it needs to, because I do think this team is on the precipice of being able to take that next step, win the AFC Championship, get to a Super Bowl, and then hopefully perform well in the Super Bowl. But in order to do that, I am firmly convinced that something must change for the Baltimore Ravens. And it's the way that they are dealing with man blitzes. And it's the unfortunate fact that this has been the undoing of Lamar Jackson. I spent a lot of time on my book, which, by the way, you can get this up at Amazon, 586 pages previewing the season, 32 team chapters. One of them is on the Baltimore Ravens, obviously, and I go into great detail, but I do 31 chapters on all the other teams. And you can also get this in the PDF version up at sharp.football. I see the ad up there on the screen. It's $29.99 over at sharp.football. But for your listeners right now, if you go to the website, type in sharp.football, it'll redirect you. Enter the code RAVENS. It'll drop the price down to $1. So from $30 down to $1, limited time for you guys if you want to get a copy of this 586-page novel to use before the season starts. But the issue is Baltimore and Lamar Jackson deal with man blitzes more than any other quarterback in the NFL, and they're dealing with it in the postseason especially. The Buffalo Bills saw how much this impacted Lamar Jackson, so much to the point that they historically, over the course of the season, Buffalo used man blitzes on just 11.5% of early down dropbacks. They ratcheted that up against Baltimore and Lamar to 48%. That's ridiculous, to go from 11.5% during the regular season up to 48% against Lamar Jackson. I have to give credit to Sean McDermott for realizing that they needed to do that. But if they didn't do that, the Baltimore Ravens are winning that playoff game. Baltimore is advancing against the Buffalo Bills. That was the only reason, was the inefficiency, because Lamar was definitely much more inefficient against those man blitzes, as he has been. But the problem is that no quarterback gets played with man, which seems counterintuitive, but to provide extra containment on Lamar, defenses play the Baltimore Ravens with man coverage more than most, and specifically in the postseason, Lamar has been dealing with man coverage at ridiculously high rates. He's been facing man coverage on 50% of his dropbacks. The NFL average is 27%. And put that into context, Josh Allen faces man coverage just 17% of the time. Lamar Jackson is up at 50%. Now, if Lamar Jackson faces zone, the times that they don't play man, Lamar is the best quarterback in the NFL. Number one in EPA, number one in success, number one in yards per attempt against zone. But he struggles a lot more against man. When teams blitz him, which they do a lot to try to pressure him, they've seen the success from the Pittsburgh Steelers, he struggles in that regard. But when he's not blitzed, number one in EPA, number one in success, number one in yards per attempt. So he's the best quarterback in the NFL when he's not blitzed. But teams blitz him at the number one highest rate, 53% of his dropbacks. He is blitzed. The NFL average is 26%. To put that into context, another quarterback in the division, Joe Burrow, gets blitzed 15% of the time. 15. Lamar is up at 53%. And so what the Ravens need to realize, based upon what the Buffalo Bills did last year in the postseason, is that teams are going to come out here and adjust and throw out their entire strategy and play a different way against Lamar Jackson moving forward. They're going to utilize more man blitzes. And Baltimore has not shown an ability to overcome that. When they get faced with man blitzes, they have struggled. They have to work on it this offseason. It has to be pretty much priority number one for them if they want to get to the Super Bowl this year and win it, is to figure out how to deal with man blitzes. Because I can assure you, even teams that traditionally play zone and don't blitz, like the Buffalo Bills, if they're willing to make alterations, then there are going to be a lot of smart defensive coordinators that are continue to do that. And look who Baltimore plays week one of the 2025 season, those same Buffalo Bills. So they're going to get tested right away with a bunch of man blitzes, and they're going to have to figure out a way to beat them.
Warren, can we take a quick pause, Sarah? Because a lot of folks are asking about the book deal that you just offered. That, by the way, that was just an insane amount of information that we're going to dissect here in a second. But I want to pin a comment, sharp.football, you said. I have that link right here. So I'm going to pin a comment when you just remind us what that deal is that you're offering to our subscribers here.
Yeah, you can get the PDF copy at Sharp. Go to sharp.football, and it's $29.99. If you enter the code Ravens, it'll drop it down to $1. And you're not going to find better bang for your buck than using the Ravens code on sharp.football to get 586 pages. And I spend months on this book, as I'm sure you can tell, to write 586 pages. But every single page is full of visualizations and a lot of written analysis. It's full color, and it's going to be easily adjustable by you guys. But it's going to get you ready for the season. Whether you want to use it for fantasy, just learn more about the teams, use it for sports betting, whatever the case might be, there's nuggets of information here on all 32 teams that are really going to put you ahead of the rest of the crowd that doesn't have the book.
Okay, that's code Ravens, and we currently have a pinned comment that'll take you directly there if anybody's curious. But Sarah, I know you had a follow-up, so go ahead.
No, I don't even think I can get a soda at McDonald's for $1. That's the best deal that you're going to get for this amount of incredible information. I do remember actually a while back, I feel like you put out those blitz numbers, and I think we covered it, but the way you just articulated it, I think was really good. Thank you for that, Warren. Hopefully the message is getting to Todd Monken and company, because this is a copycat league for sure, which is why we saw that against Buffalo. My question, kind of turning over to the defensive side, given that you're in this crusade to show that even if quarterbacks haven't won the Super Bowl, doesn't mean that they're not elite. I watched a debate the other day because of these anonymous NFL rankings about Joe Burrow above Lamar Jackson, and everybody can have their opinion. But one thing I noticed is everybody keeps pointing out Joe Burrow's defense, which is bad, and the Ravens traditionally have been good. But last year, for example, on Mike Sando's quarterback betrayal list, Lamar was betrayed by his defense and special teams, number one throughout the league until week 17. I think Joe Burrow finally took it over. So his defense is bad, but Lamar was betrayed just as much by his defense and special teams, or at least just right under. What are your projections? What went wrong with the defense? Obviously, it was much better in the second half of the season after changes were made. What are some thoughts that you have going in for the Ravens defense in 2025?
Well, I think that they are talented, and they've made some decent offseason additions, and I think that they should have success this year. But the problem is they cannot just replicate their performance last year, because the strength of schedule that they're going to be going up against in 2025 of the opposing offenses, is going to be much more difficult. I ranked them in the book, and last year, statistically, the Baltimore Ravens played the 26th most difficult schedule of offenses last season. This year, I am projecting them to play the 14th most difficult schedule. So a massive leap. It's the 4th most difficult leap in schedule from last year to this year. So that's going to put more pressure on this defense to have more success, to get the opposing offense off the field more frequently. I mean, they're playing the NFC North. Last year, you guys played the NFC East. That was a down year, aside from what the Philadelphia Eagles brought to the table for most of that division. You also got to play like the Houston Texans mixed in there. Now you're out of division games against other first place teams. You got the Chiefs and the Rams, and I am super high on the LA Rams this upcoming season. I think they're going to be really good. The NFC North is tough, and then the AFC East is better than it was last year, in my opinion, with some of the changes that were made in the offseason for a couple of these teams. In the Jets, I think it was more of a lateral move. I'm not that big on the coaching staff that was replaced. I do think Aaron Rodgers is better than Justin Fields, but I think in general, that's a more of a lateral move. So it's going to be a challenge for you guys this season. And the defense has to hold up their end of the bargain. I do have a little bit of concern that they will. You also have to account for special teams and what you're going to get out of that, because you now have a new kicker. And some of these kickers, we know that Justin Tucker did not perform well last season, and obviously he's no longer with the team. Young kickers, inexperienced kickers, like how quickly can they settle in and just have that level of confidence? When Justin Tucker was first with the Ravens early on in his career, he was called automatic. I mean, he was out there and just nailing field goals, ice water in his veins, and couldn't miss. You now have a young guy who's got a talented leg, who can kick far, but will he be consistent enough when the time comes? And that's one of the biggest issues that I have for you guys this season. And I write about this in my book, is you have been so bad. I don't know if like this stands out for you watching these games or not. You have been horrible in close games. The track record shows you guys have been mind-bogglingly terrible in close games. If I look back since 2020, so the last 5 years, the Baltimore Ravens are 23 wins and 24 losses in one-score games. That is 18th in win percentage across the rest of the NFL, 0.489, below 50%. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who are in your very same division, they are 37-15. They have won 71% of games decided by one score. That's the second best win rate in the NFL. The top 2 teams, other than the Steelers, are the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Kansas City Chiefs are 37-12 in one-score games. The Eagles are 28-15 in one-score games. Both teams are winning close to, if not more, twice as often as they are losing in one-score games. You guys are losing more often than you win in one-score games. And the problem for me is, not only is that costing you playoff seeding and home field advantage and things of that nature when you're dropping games like you might do during the course of the season, which who doesn't remember when you dropped the game against the Gardner Minshew-led Raiders in week 2? Who doesn't remember last year when you dropped the game against the Cleveland Browns last season?
Jameis Winston led Cleveland Browns.
Jameis Winston led Cleveland Browns. So these are games that you've got to win, but it also creates, when you're winning those close games during the season, and it becomes a habit to like, we can crank out these close wins. We are clutch in these moments. That is what, in my opinion, gives confidence to the postseason, which games are going to be close, to allow you to win those games. And look no further than the Kansas City Chiefs. In the playoff games over the last 5 years, this team is 9-1 in games decided by one score. They are winning 90% of their playoff games that are decided by one score. Playoff games are generally going to be close. If you're a team like the Chiefs, who is great during the regular season at winning these games, that parlays into postseason confidence, play calling, understanding what to go to late, and winning those games late. And so the Baltimore Ravens, absolutely, there's no excuse. This is such a good team. It's one of the best teams in the NFL. There is no excuse for teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers to be 37-15 in one-score games. And they're not as good as the Baltimore Ravens have been since 2020. Look at the quarterbacks that they've trotted out there compared to Lamar Jackson. There's no reason they should be 37-15, and you guys should be below 500 at 23-24. And if you're going to compete with the likes of the Chiefs and the Eagles, who are just in the Super Bowl, you have to figure out a way to win these close games. So in addition to my gripe and rant on the offense figuring out a better strategy, and that's on Todd Monken. That's on Todd Monken and John Harbaugh to figure out from a coaching perspective. We know Lamar is struggling when he's dealing with man blitzes. How can we as coaches figure out ways to counterpunch man blitzes when they're ultimately going to come? Yes, Lamar could be, all of a sudden he could be great. Like we wish he could. It's a coaching thing at this point since he's been struggling with that. And this also is a coaching and execution in one-score games. They got to figure out a way to get it done. These are the top two things, in my opinion, that absolutely must change in 2025 for this team to have success.
Warren, can you repeat the time span that you had there for 23 and 24 in close games? How far that goes back?
I think you said 2020.
Since 2020, in games decided by one score, the Ravens are 23 wins and 24 losses. That ranks 18th in the NFL in terms of their win rate.
Okay.
Other teams like the Steelers are 37-15, the Eagles are 28-15, and the Chiefs are 37-12.
And Warren, just to be clear, I think you said it at the end, but you attribute the horrible record in close games mostly to coaching?
I think it's coaching and execution. It's collective effort. Like the numbers, I showed the stats earlier. We discussed the stats earlier of what Lamar Jackson did in fourth quarters of games. In fourth quarters of games, he was number one in EPA per attempt last season. So it comes down to defense. It comes down to the run game. It comes down to play calling. It comes down to decision making. It might come down to field goal kicking. Whatever the case might be, it's a collective thing. Last year alone, I did have this in the book. Maybe you were referring to this. The Baltimore Ravens went 5-5 in games decided by one score. The prior year in 2023, they went 4-4 in games decided by one score. I don't know when the last time this team actually won more games than they lost when they were decided by one score, how many years back it went. But over the last 5 years, they have a losing record. And it's unconscionable for a team as good as this, with the quarterback as good as Lamar Jackson, to be below average or be 18th in the NFL in one-score games. It cannot happen.
Can I clarify too? Is this a team stat since 2020 or a Lamar stat?
No, this is a team stat. This is a team stat.
Because the one thing that it makes me think about, and again, it's an absolutely real thing. I'm not pushing back on that at all. But between 21 and 22, we're talking about almost a full season that Lamar missed because of injuries.
But how many one-score games were in there too, though?
Right. That's what I'm wondering. That's what we would have to go back and look at. It's clearly a problem. But
right. To me, you look at Lamar and the way that he's played the last 2 years. Obviously, he won the MVP in 2023. Should have been good enough to win the MVP in 2024. Obviously, maybe there was MVP fatigue and that sort of thing. But the team is 9 wins and 9 losses in one-score games. And it's something that breeds into the parlays into the postseason, and they just got to figure out how to get better in these one-score games. And so it's a frustration. I'm not a Ravens fan. I am a fan of all teams. Like I analyze the game, but I can only imagine, like, as Ravens backers, you guys may not have known these numbers because you look at your team and what were you 12-5 last year and 13-4 the year before that and 10-7 the year before that. And you're always in the playoffs and you're always doing good things, it seems. But if you could just clean up your performance in one-score games, and I did write about it in the book, like, you are a great team, so you're probably not going to get blown out in that many games. So most of your losses are probably going to be by one score. They're going to be close, frustrating losses rather than 30-point losses. However, you look at a team like the Chiefs, who's just as good and wins just as many games, or like the Eagles, who's just as good and wins just as many games. They're crushing their results in one-score games. So you guys absolutely can clean this up. You haven't been able to do it. It needs to be an emphasis, and you guys need to get it done this year. It will help your playoff seeding, and your schedule is tough, right? Like you play some of the top teams. You play them on the road. You're in Buffalo. You're in Kansas City. You have a game in Baltimore. You host the LA Rams. Like, your schedule isn't necessarily easy this year. Where do I have you? Above average difficulty in overall strength of schedule. You need to do better in these one-score games. That might allow you to host the big games in the postseason, which, as you guys know, you went up to Buffalo only as a result of what? One loss that you had, a Gardner Minshew loss, the Cleveland Browns loss. One of those losses caused you to travel to Buffalo in the postseason and lose that game, whereas you could have been hosting it if you just take care of business against Gardner Minshew at home in week 2. So you got to get better in these close games.
It's a good segue. This is the last one for me. We know we're tight on time for you, Warren. You got to get going and whatnot. But a lot of the reason for that, too, was 10 or 11 weeks of just woeful defense on the back end. So you lose Eddie Jackson in season. You let Marcus Williams walk. Brandon Stevens walks as well in free agency, gets a nice deal in New York. And now in comes a rookie in Malachi Starks at the safety position. In comes Jair Alexander. Not a splash based on the monetary side of things, but a splash in terms of the name. You draft a ton of players. You got a promising player in TJ Tampa potentially coming in for year 2. Cheeto Awuzie is sort of a nice insurance piece there. We thought he was going to be the Brandon Stevens replacement, but then Jair comes in, and so we know that bumps him out. But I guess what I'm asking you is, what are your expectations for the secondary that really was the be-all, end-all for why seeding was totally screwed up through the first almost half of the season last year, more than half?
Yeah, the biggest issue to me when you have all these new parts in the secondary is those big plays. Modern NFL reduces explosive plays. It just does. The way that defenses play with the 2 high shells, and several years ago and previously to that, 26% of all touchdowns were scored from outside of the red zone. Over the last couple of years, it's declined to just 21%. Teams are having to drive the ball. Drives have more plays. Drives have more first downs. Drives gain more yards before they score touchdowns because the way the defenses are playing. And the Baltimore Ravens last year, your secondary, ranked 22nd in explosive pass defense. Over the course of the entire season, I can only imagine if we took a subset of that earlier on, it might have been even worse than that. You cannot afford to allow teams to gain chunk plays on your secondary, and that's where the lack of potential communication comes into play. New people playing in different roles, unfamiliar with one another. They've got to drill it down and get it ready in the preseason so that it doesn't become an issue during the course of the season. I already mentioned the difficult schedule that you guys are going to be dealing with, but 3 of your first 4 games, you're going up against 3 of the 4 best offenses in the NFL: Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. So those are going to be very difficult opponents. They're going to be opponents that are fully capable of passing the football on that secondary, and you simply cannot afford to give up those game-changing, field-changing plays through the air, and that's one fear certainly for 2025.
Hey, do you mind if we do a couple quick hitter super chats that have come in for you before we get you out of here?
Sure.
Cool. I'll read them quickly for you. Park Heights Prophet says, assuming better offensive line play from interior line, could L. Sarah, where is he going here? Assuming better offensive line play from
Wester. I think he's talking about rookie wide receiver along with Zay and Keaton. He's talking about speed.
Sorry. Assuming the better offensive line play from interior line, could LeJohntay Wester along with Zay or even Keaton out of the backfield use speed to create a horizontal mismatch against these man schemes?
Absolutely. Look, Todd Monken is a really solid offensive mind, and I have a lot of confidence. I just don't think that they have been prepared enough with an answer to deal with it. And so leveraging the defense, using more pre-snap motion, trying to get some disguises in there, anything is going to help. And I agree, speed absolutely can kill man coverage, and getting the ball out of Lamar Jackson's. They're blitzing and they're playing man. So the key is you got to get answers quick, early in the down, to get the ball out of Lamar Jackson's hands to somebody who is creating some sort of separation. Speed absolutely would help in that regard. Pre-snap motion would absolutely help in that regard as well.
Sarah, this one comes for Dreams.
He says, Warren, what everybody's had a problem the last couple of days seeing Joe Burrow ranked ahead of Lamar Jackson, given that Lamar's punished for not winning enough in the playoffs, but Joe hasn't made it in a minute. So that's where this comes from. Dream says, Warren, what makes Joe Burrow so good with the best receiver duo in football and not having been to the playoffs the past couple of seasons?
So I wrote this in the Cincinnati Bengals chapter, and I encourage all the Ravens fans out there, get the book for $1, and you can read the detail here. But basically, I detail out, if you compare Patrick Mahomes Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow is at the bottom here. Okay. It is crazy that all four of these guys are like in their primes in the AFC. It's absolutely brutal for all of them to have to keep dealing with one another. But all three of those other guys, Patrick on the Chiefs, Patrick on the Chiefs, Lamar on the Ravens, and Josh Allen on the Bills. Their offensive line play statistically has been above average. Their run game support have been top 10. Their defenses have been above average over the last like 3-4 years. Joe Burrow is literally like the 30th ranked defense, the dead last ranked offensive line. Statistically, last year from a pass block win rate, his offensive line was the worst. But over the last 4 years, he has played behind the only offensive line in the entire NFL to rank 25th or worse in pass block win rate for each of those last 4 years, I think it is. So Joe Burrow's offensive line has been terrible. And the run game support just hasn't been there either. Joe Burrow last year has been hit quickly within 2.5 seconds. He's got one of the quickest time to releases in the NFL. He's not quite Tua Tagovailoa, but he's close in terms of how quickly he gets rid of the football, doesn't hold on to it very frequently. 4th fastest release time. But yet he is still, and he's blitzed at the lowest rate in the NFL. Unlike Lamar, I mentioned his statistic, I think it was like 18% blitz rate, whereas Lamar's over 50%. Teams don't blitz Joe Burrow, and he has one of the quickest release times. And yet he is getting hit within 2.5 seconds at the highest rate of any quarterback in the NFL. 2.5 seconds. Think about that. Like the average release time is just above 2.5 seconds. So Joe Burrow has to have a lightning quick release or he's getting hit in the pocket. That is absurd for a quarterback to have to be dealing with. And that just exemplifies why his offensive line has been as bad as it is. So Burrow is just not getting very much support from, to me, it starts with the front office, the way that team is run with the Cincinnati Bengals and Mike Brown, to the general manager and the way that they draft players, to how they sign and pay players, to who they choose to retain. Like it's from top on down. And Joe Burrow is out there fighting for his life every single time. He doesn't like to say anything. Most franchise quarterbacks aren't going to say anything. They want their receivers to get paid. They want to win games. But that team is not very solid around them, which is one of the reasons why I think, although they are the second most likely team to win the AFC North behind you guys, like I seriously think they could have a down year this year. Joe Burrow has been relatively healthy, and this team keeps winning only 9 games. I think that there's a good chance that the Cincinnati Bengals win fewer than 9 games, even though he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this year. I think you guys have a chance to, walk away with this division, in my opinion, but you've got to figure out a way to win those one-score games.
We'll get you out of here on this. Heather says, Warren, you're one of my faves. You're preaching, sir, and that you certainly were. We got all the information on how to get a copy of your book. That's a pinned comment right now in our live chat. Everybody's heard the offer by now, so go check it out if you want to support Warren and learn more. But, dude, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it, and hope to do it again down the line.
Happy to do it again down the line, and hopefully it's during a period in time when you guys have made those adjustments with the man blitzes. You've won some more of those close games, and we can all feel a little bit better about the ceiling for this team in 2025 because everything is there. The pieces, in my opinion, are there. You've duly noted some of the issues defensively. I think this is a team that's definitely built to make a run through the postseason, hopefully ending with a Super Bowl appearance and victory. The issue is you got to clean up some of these things first. And hopefully if we talk during the season, you guys will have done that.
No doubt. Perfect. Look forward to it. Have a great year.
Thanks,
Warren.
Guys.
Warren Sharp. You can follow him at Sharp Football. And I don't think you'll be disappointed whether or not you follow him. You go check out the site. Go check out everything that we have right now in the pinned comments, Eric, because I don't even think a boatload does it justice in terms of what he just brought to the table from the second we threw it to him.
Oh my gosh, that dude is just an encyclopedia. My goodness. Here's the thing. Obviously, he hit hard against the two things the Ravens need to fix, which is man blitzes in general, but more specifically man blitzes, because Lamar is blitzed the most out of anybody. They're trying to, and why wouldn't you? You want the ball out of Lamar's hands, right? So it's like somebody else beat us than Lamar. And so that's kind of the idea. Quickly get it out of Lamar's hands. And Lamar likes to hold on to the ball and kind of like make some magic, some late throws, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a team effort on that. So obviously he was hitting home the man blitz and he was hitting home the 1-win games. But here's what may have flew under the radar. Remember earlier, he was talking about that statistically, Lamar Jackson is a top 5 to 10 quarterback in the postseason. And on top of it, which you hit on, which is that Lamar Jackson is one of the best in the fourth quarter. So
And
you tell me this.
the best last year.
And the best last year. So this is what national pundits are going to have to deal with, who keep blaming Lamar. How can you blame Lamar if the Ravens' Achilles heel is losing one-score games, and yet Lamar is, at least last year, number 1 in the fourth quarter, and beyond last year in the top rankings in the fourth quarter?
Right. Losing one-score games, and not Lamar, the folks above him not having an answer for man.
Well, and I did clarify on that because I did hear him say coaching. And so I said, just to be clear, you think that this one-score stuff is coaching? He said it's coaching, but it's also execution outside of Lamar, which, obviously the biggest ones in front of our face is Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers the year before. Yeah.
The follow-ups that we asked were so on par, right? Like I knew where you were going. I think you probably knew where I was going with the fourth quarter question and the postseason and whatnot. And there is an onslaught right now and a run going on in the chat. So let's wrap up the Warren stuff. What a fantastic guest. You love when you don't necessarily have to track folks down. Obviously, he's promoting his book. You guys understand that. And that's just kind of how this world works. They reached out to us, and that was one of the best, most informative, I think, interviews we've ever been a part of. So thank you to Warren. As always, guys, it goes a long way if you will thank them yourselves. If you can hop on to social media, and in this case, Twitter, where he is the most active, and tweet a thank you at him. It's at Sharp Football. We would appreciate it very much because, again, that was 30 minutes of his time, and I'll go ahead and drop his Twitter into the show notes below, or I should say in the live chat, where we also have that pinned comment if you want to pick up that offer. I had no idea he was coming in here with an offer
for $1.
I had no clue. So go check that out. Be sure to use code Ravens in order to redeem it and redeem that offer and cash in. So special thanks to Warren Sharp for being today's featured guest.
I have mine downloaded, all 586 pages.
Oh my goodness.
I have it downloaded. I will go to the Ravens section expeditiously to look at some of these numbers for sure. Are there any more super chats specific to Warren before we go back up and get the other super chats? I'm glad that you got these in, by the way. You got PHP.
Richard just dropped the nugget, man. I'm going to be screaming my butt off when we get down there, and I might just do it right now. Let's go, Richard. With a 50 spot on the Friday. Richard from the KVN went to top rope. Richard said, I'm going higher than that, baby. I'm skydiving off the friggin' Empire State Building. Richard. Bang. Mike Breen, bang. You go so loud, I literally can't hear. We literally cannot hear you when you go to that octave.
That's probably a good thing, wouldn't you say? It's like the mic is smart that way. The Shure mic is smart to say, I know when Sarah's hitting this decibel, I'm just going to shut down and save her listeners' ears.
That's Sarah overmodulated right there. We're going to let that be right quick. But Richard with a 50 spot, and that doesn't even, we're not even scratching the surface yet because Douglas is leading the charge right now.
Douglas, because remember he said he couldn't match PHP.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to let him off the hook, right?
Of course, he could do whatever he wants. All right. He's started this onslaught. And by the way, we'll get to Devin in just a bit, and who I think is Jean-Pierre. Remember we were talking about that earlier on in the week. I was just guessing how he pronounces his last name. But Devin is a part of this one run right now. But to your point, let's go finish up the Warren Super Chats, and we will revisit this ridiculous run on generosity that you guys have really started by DHBSR 40 minutes before we came on the air, and has continued thanks to all of you. Thank you so much for a fantastic Friday, and a huge thank you to Warren Sharp. I'm sorry to Oceans. We didn't get this in. We were just stuck on time, and he had a 30-minute out. So we apologize, but Sarah will still read it.
He says Ocean says to, is Oceans, are you a male or female? I keep saying he, but I don't know. Okay, to Warren, Ravens defense never shows up in the playoffs with turnovers. Eagles got 17 last year, and you see what happened. What needs to change? You know what? I don't know that he would answer it. Both you and I asked a question about defense, and he didn't dig into that. So I don't think he had numbers on that. I don't think he came prepared with that because both of us tried to tee him up for the defense, and he kind of just moved it back to the 1-score games.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets hairy because there are so many super chats that we may need to just go back to chronological order and hope that we didn't.
I do think you got most of the Warren stuff. God King here had another one about the offensive line. He said he thinks the offensive line will be better against man blitz, and maybe they will, but there needs to be something schematically more. Maybe, schematically, both the execution, the scheme is going to matter. So I think we're mostly caught up on the Warren stuff. Again, from God King, our man blitz woes show the offensive line is our downfall. What better evidence do you need?
Yeah. Sorry I didn't get to those. I mean, they weren't directly addressed to Warren, so I remember kind of letting those go. But appreciate you, God King Jafira, right? Jafira is what we talked about
that's right.
yesterday in terms of the pronunciation. So, and by the way, we still have a boatload of quick hits, including some big AFC North news to get to, which will be coming up in just a bit. Now we got to figure out where the heck we left off, because I remember you sharing Douglas's.
You did PHP, remember? And it queued up Warren perfectly.
But do we have all this though? Tila and Douglas and
no,
Devin and all?
So we left off here. So everything under this is what we haven't gotten to yet, minus the Warren stuff we already cherry picked. So Douglas put in matched another vault membership. Then Jared Thomas says it's addressed to you.
Okay, I'm finally caught up. Thank you.
Okay.
Wow.
Yep.
I was so far down because of Warren's that I thought my whole order was off. No, we just have that many super chats right now.
Yeah, we gotta roll. Yeah.
Jared Thomas says, Bobby, the QB versus QB narratives have to die, bro. QB versus QB. Meaning, if Jared's actually talking about the people that say, hey, when the Ravens and Rams match up, it's Stafford versus Lamar, I'm so with you, Jared. That's more of a PR type of media thing that people love to talk about. If that's what you're talking about, clearly they don't go up head to head. Lamar has said that for years and years when compared to other quarterbacks during his press conferences, but I don't know if that's what you're actually referring to here. Sarah, do you have a hunch?
No, I thought he was talking about rankings. Maybe you're right.
Okay.
So
there he is on top of, what did he give a couple minutes ago?
He gave $20, and so he came back with another $20 one and I forgot, #20. Thank you, PHP.
We also liked your question for Warren too. That was cool.
Yeah.
And DHBSR is in the spirit of competition today. He says, PHP, did you see my comment? Did you see the one earlier on that we displayed 40 minutes prior to the show? Jared Thomas is back for more, and this one's for you.
He says, Sarah, can you shout out my dude Nitro from the Wonderkin show? He's a big-time Ravens and Lamar Jackson fan who I also watch often. Unfortunately, I don't get a chance to watch Nitro very often. However, I do see clips every once in a while. He brings a lot of energy. So, yeah, Jared, you gave him the shout-out. Other people can check him out, too.
That's the one. Biggie 3 says, hello, everyone. Kyle Van Noy needs to retire. Said about the guy that's been in a resurgent season. He's gone back-to-back years. Has he gone back-to-back double digits? Or was last year he's been hovering around 10 or 11 sacks 9 to 11 sacks the last 2 seasons. I believe last year was 10. Are you going to check me? I think last year was 10 and a half. And I want to say 2023 was, all right, I'm going to guess right now. I think last year was 10 and a half. And then the year prior was 8 and a half.
You're awfully close. Last year was 12 and a half. And 2023 was 9. Very close. See, right. And Biggie 3 will always be Rave Kingdom to me. It's funny to me that Rave Kingdom is like here for Cleveland, but is out on KVN.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. I will say this. I do think that this is Kyle's last year in Baltimore. I do believe that. But
I mean, maybe one more 1-year deal. I don't know. We'll see how much what if he does another double? Here's my thing. Like, if they see something in Mike Green and let go of Odafe, then you're going to want a Kyle Van Noy type, whether it's KVN or another veteran.
Sure.
So if KVN puts up double-digit sacks again, why not him?
Well, if he does, but if he does it for the second consecutive season, is another team going to be like, hey, we can actually give you a little bit more than what the Ravens are willing to give? And you might be like, all right, this is a competitive team. I'm going to take that and run.
And if they get a ring, then Kyle for sure could be like, okay, I'm done.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because he's already setting up his media career. We've been watching his steps.
Yeah.
They've been meticulous. Justin Chappell, what's going on, Justin? Hey, y'all, checking in from Duval. First time in over a year. I was going to say, I love when new names pop, man. First time in over a year I've been on the live. Hope I can get some of those. Yeah, honestly, you don't even need to be live in the live chat, Sarah, to get a membership. That's what's funny about it. It's a randomized thing from YouTube that divvies out these memberships. But he says, hope I can get one of those channel member gifts. Keep it up, y'all. Great to have you, Justin. Happy Friday, man. You had this from Douglas, I believe, and then the gift giving run begins. Tila, literally almost an hour ago at 12:28, gifts 5 channel members. So 5 new Voltrons now have access to the vaultpod.com, our new apparel line. Douglas H. Brown Sr., as he said all along, is going to be matching these gifts outside of PHP. So he does exactly that with Tila. Devin Jean-Pierre, you still got to check me if I'm totally botching his pronunciation.
Jean-Pierre sounds great.
On top of that, we've gone back to back to back 5. PHP is like, oh, I'm not staying out of this. We just went quad, a quad, back to back to back, 5 gift channel membership donations. Thank you all. And here comes Devin, Sarah, with a $10 super chat.
Finally figured out how to gift. I had to Google it. LOL. Glad you figured it out.
I was going to say, appreciate the effort, Devin. Wildlife Wale says, do you know if merch will ship to the U.S. Virgin Islands? It's technically domestic, but some sites don't ship here. If Carly's in the live chat right now, Carly, could you advise? But if this thing's going to Switzerland, Sarah, then I would hope so. But Wildlife, can you email us and we will forward that to Carly? BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. We'll ring that up the ladder for you. Appreciate you. Douglas H. Brown Sr. with a channel membership gift. Hybrid Theory, $9.99 says, can't gift on my phone at work. Probably can tomorrow, though. How about Monday instead?
Saturday. Yeah, give us a Monday here.
Monday instead. I know you'll enjoy this one. Samuel McDougald.
He says, Bobby, after transplant, you will be Steve Harvey.
Meaning like a fake, it's going to look like I have a fake hairline. Is that what you're getting at, Sam? The plan is, and I'll know more after Friday. I'll keep you updated. By the way, Sarah, I'm going to be live from Manhattan on Friday, just like I was in June last year. And so we will be, as planned next week. But Friday at 3:30, I'll be at the Bosley offices in New York. And I think the plan is to replenish like here. See this? Yeah. This has become thin.
Yeah.
And this is the plan all along, to do a follow-up procedure. But we're going to replenish here, and then maybe I'll even get greedy and start to clean up the widow's peak a little bit more. We'll see. I'm going to be following Dr. Cohen's advice. We'll tell you more about it as things start to materialize. Dreams writes, maybe there will be a future collab with my brand. Oh, and the vault down the line. Queon, I don't know if I know anything about your brand. Sarah, do you? Am I just having a memory gaffe here?
No, I don't recall.
Okay. Nate Campbell and Douglas H. Brown Sr. checking in with single channel Voltron memberships. And Douglas is really sticking to what and this is going back again, 50 minutes from now. We just missed it because we were in the middle of our Warren Sharp interview. So thank you to Nate. Thank you to Douglas and God King. We've gotten that up. So Monica, Sarah, who got us started with her 3-month channel membership anniversary way back when.
She says, let's go Ravens flock. LJ looked so dapper. The SBs are QB always.
This is funny from John R. celebrating 2 months of channel membership. You might remember when I sort of gave my prediction for what he was about. He's going to follow up with me. He says, just had to tell you, Bobby, I'm from B-more. I don't chop wood. LOL. I'm actually a bounty hunter. Love you and Sarah in the show. Hashtag 20-0. That cracks me up that you follow.
He looks like a bounty hunter too. I could see chopping wood or being a bounty hunter.
Absolutely cracks me up. Dreams, we got your question in there for Warren, as we did with PHP and Heather and Oceans. And now, Sarah, we get back to the gift giving. I'll let you take this one from Ash.
Well, Ash just gave 5. You can name all these off. I don't need to name them off. Thank you, Ash. Thank you.
About 15 minutes ago, got the party restarted with 5 channel Voltrons. So thank you, Ash. Devin's like, yo, I'm going to get 10 on top of the 5 that I've already given earlier on. I think it was 5 from him. earlier on. There's so many that there's literally 60. We're staring at 67 starred super chats, just so you know, in this live chat.
Jeez.
Douglas saw that and he's like, well, wait a second. No. I saw Ash Marie's of 5, so I'm going to go ahead and match that. And then he sees Devin's of 10 and he says, I'm coming back for more. He's sticking to it.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Eric Hill comes in. He's been active in recent days. Great to have you back, Eric. Devin matches Eric's of 1. I feel like I'm at like what are those in-person raffles that they do when you're the person that's announcing it? It's the
no, I'm told how this is such a regular word.
Live auction. Live
auction is the word. And
it's an auctioneer, right? Is who I'm referring to. I feel like you guys are making me feel like an auctioneer. Devin comes in for 1, and here comes Douglas H. Brown Sr. in for another. And then Richard got the party started earlier on. We've given him love for a 50 spot. Now I get to catch my breath. And Eric Hill comes in with an additional super chat.
Eric says, hey, Sarah, Bojita, and Voltrons. Hope everyone has a blessed, safe, and enjoyable weekend.
He doesn't even put Bobby in there. Holly says,
Bojita now.
Holly says, hashtag,
wait, now how do I do it to where it stays on? I got to go over here? Do I got to go away?
You already know.
Try right here?
No.
Did it break again?
Your mic wants nothing to do with your octaves, your high octaves. There's not a chance.
Let me try another decibel.
Okay.
The meatloaf.
There it is. It's there.
Yeah, but I don't even yell it very loud, though.
But just for good measure, to put us back in that category, hashtag Mata Meatloaf. You on this Friday, baby. Devin comes back for more. He drops a 5 spot in there. Douglas H. Brown Sr. says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm going with 5 back to back to back. And Sarah, he's got a word for Richard in the form of a $5 super chat.
I do not blame you, Douglas H. Brown Sr. You've been spending your retirement on us. Oh. He said, I can't match Osmodeus. It's okay. How many have you given today so far, Douglas?
You already have. We don't expect you to match it. Please
I bet he's already up to 50.
Listen, that Social Security hits, I know, but goodness gracious. Mr. Jackson says, can we get, yes, you can. Oh, wait a second. Sorry, Mata Meatloaf merch. Okay, so let's just add it into the super chat. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. I am real.
We need
Can we get Mata Meatloaf? Go ahead, sorry. They got me going. Let's go.
You are feeling all these gifts. Do you guys see how you've transformed Bobby today? Oh. We need a Mata Meatloaf. We need a Bojita, and we need a Woof.
Unbelievable.
All those t-shirts.
But just so that we do this super chat justice, can we get some Mata Meatloaf merch? We'll talk to Carly about it. Maybe she's here right now. You never know. On to the next super chat, Sarah, and this one's from Wildlife Wale.
I want to know why I can't yell. Okay, wide receivers getting separation off the line as how you beat man blitz. Insert D-Hop, the big body we've needed.
The big body. Could he be the missing piece?
Now, remember, though, just to be clear, both Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman already rank in the top 10 for wide receiver separation. I don't know that that's the problem.
Yeah. Jared Thomas says, Bobby, okay, clarifying. I was on to something there. QBs aren't going one-on-one is what I meant, which is refreshing. I don't know if you're inferring that I've said that. I've never said that. I don't know if you are, but I'm totally in agreement with you, and I appreciate the comment. Nikki E is celebrating 2 months of channel membership and has a little bit of gratitude, Sarah.
Thanks for the membership, Tila. Also, happy birthday to my little lady Genesis.
Holly Keefs wants my vocal cords to be shot. Hashtag, I feel like I gotta do like a different like demeanor or octave, voice,
little variety.
Blah, blah, blah. You know, let's go a little bit of hashtag Mata Meatloaf.
That one was not as good. That one was not as good.
It wasn't as loud. That's why. Merch.
There's also Meatloaf.
She's making it clear.
Meatloaf.
The merch, as I get picked on for trying to change it up so I can speak for the rest of the way. Okay. Yes, Holly, we know where you stand on this. Devin Jean-Pierre has gifted an additional 5 channel memberships on this payment Friday. So DHPS Senior says, and wait a second, this is still about 9 minutes ago. So this is still relatively new. We've got 70 plus super chats. We're not there yet. Quick hits may have to go below the waist today. DHBS Senior matches Devin. And Sarah, he wanted to give a little bit of explanation. I'll let you take this one. Thank goodness I have.
Yes, he said, I'm Haitian and you're pronouncing it right. Nice. Devin Jean-Pierre.
Let's go. I love that. Eric Hill has gifted a channel membership. For those of you who haven't caught on yet, all channel members, all patrons, all Discord community members have direct access to the vaultpod.com, our newly launched merch site. It's been months in the making. We've been thrilled to roll it out this week for you. Thanks to Carly. Thanks to our entire team. We hope you're enjoying it. There's a password that's been emailed or sent to every single one of you that are members in those different areas. So that's why we're celebrating this. It's an opportunity for you to get more access to the show, get more access to the vaultpod.com. And just so everyone knows, this coming Wednesday, next week, it'll be available to everybody. Douglas H. Brown Sr., right on track, right on cue. Devin is going toe for toe, going back to back, body to body. Manuel's COD channel, Sarah, in some Mexican currency down there in Mexico City.
Mexico. Flock, see you at Miami with my father. Hashtag Ravensflock.
Te amo, Manuel. Te amo. Douglas H. Brown Sr. hits us with an additional channel membership. And Jang, sup, hits us with a $49.99. Sarah, that is the salmon or magenta or pick or purple. And it's a super chat. It's got your name on it.
She says, not a new name here, laughy emoji, but I'm here to show love to the show. I don't have the patience to gift memberships today as I am a little hungover. I'm a little hungover and I don't want to talk about it.
Oh boy, what happened last night? Should I go check the Bobby After Dark Discord server?
Oh my goodness gracious. She says, hope it's not even the weekend yet. It's not even the weekend yet. And she's already feeling weekend type aftershocks. She says, I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Something about that hangover. You start getting generous. Appreciate you, Jang. Thanks for the $49.99. Who knows what's to come for you?
It's usually what precedes the hangover that inspires the generosity.
No kidding. Look out. Appreciate you, Jang. Samuel McDougall says, you'll have the crispy straight line like Steve did, referring to my hairline. He's not done. Devin has come back for more. 5 new channel Voltrons now exist, thanks to Jean-Pierre's generosity. And just because Sarah couldn't help herself, here's Steve Harvey and apparently what I'm going to look like in 2026 when my new follow-up hair transplant hits.
That looks like a hairpiece. Transplant hits different. You're going to look way more natural than that. I'm bringing it up to say I disagree.
Yeah. Samuel, pound salt with your prediction. Love you. Thanks for the super chat. And thanks to Devin for the opportunity to gift 5 more channel members. Douglas H. Brown Sr. has done the exact same thing. He continues to stand on business. Ask Justin Bieber about that and his new album. Davon Barnes, Sarah, channel member, coming in for more.
Woo-wee, dummy. It's lit in the vault.
I love when that perfectly matches up chronologically with your turn to read. Katie Ramey is celebrating 2 months of channel membership. Great to have you, Katie. Hopefully you've checked out thevaultpod.com by now. Eric Hill has been active today, not celebrating anything, while celebrating his generosity. That's what we're doing. But he's gifting 1 channel membership, and Big O's in the building on a Friday. What's up, Big O?
Big O loves Fridays, and so do we. It's always a blast here in the vault on Fridays. That is the truth. My goodness.
Big O looks like a guy that I want in my corner where I'm talking my junk, doing a little bit of road rage in Baltimore. I want Big O in my corner, baby. When I'm getting big for my britches, when I'm being an arse, when I'm being somebody that's a little bit short-tempered at times, I want Big O in my corner, standing behind the 5'8" guy, 165, soaking wet. I want Big O with me every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Thank you, Big O. Appreciate the super chat. Maisha Dion or Dione or Dione or Dion has gifted 5 channel memberships, 5 new Voltrons. She's looking very professional in her header right there. Looks like a LinkedIn photo. You look great, Maisha. Happy Friday. Thank you for the gift givings on this 18th of July. Don C. Sarah with a super chat and a question.
He says, will the merch ship to Iceland? I'm not from Iceland. I just wanted to see I just wanted to seem interesting to the chat. Great show, Bobby and Sarah. I know it shipped to like Switzerland. I don't know why it wouldn't. Right?
You know
Remember
what?
we got that Switzerland. What? Go ahead.
Carly already said yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and hopefully Don's seen that. The only reason I saw it in passing. So Carly said yes to this. Don C, just to reiterate that it is heading to Iceland, but but you're not even there. So he just wants to help out the chat. Chris is sending pig emojis for who? Who's the pig? Either that or is that one of those like message as if to say somebody's typing? No, there'd be 3 dots. That's a pig emoji, right?
It looks like a pig.
Like
nose.
a snout.
Yeah, a snout.
A pig snout. Who's acting pig-like in the chat? Something tells me Chris is up to something. How about Chris looking very elegant in her cover photo? Look at the soft smile she's got. How about the you got to help me out here. The eyeshadow, is that eyeshadow?
The eyeliner, eyeshadow.
I think
mascara.
She probably had her eyebrows done. I mean, she's not messing around there.
I like how you're evaluating all the profile pictures. Yeah.
I like how they're so much more blown up now. It gives people like,
oh, that's true. We can see them better. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love this new feature. I wish Liv had one so I could talk about her. Liv B says, Sarah, this one's addressed to you. Take it.
Sarah, there's usually some setting in your software that will cut the mic if the decibel level gets too high. Might be able to find that and tweak. Oh, Liv wants my loud voice. Okay. Thank you, Liv.
Okay.
I don't know if the rest of the chat's going to be happy with Liv, but I am. Thank you, Liv.
Yeah, absolutely. Wildlife wants me to Google LeBron's hair over the years, but there's no need to because we've all known he is not even fighting it anymore. He is going downhill fast, but it's okay because he's the second billionaire in the history of playing in the NBA. The other one, obviously, is the great one. Well, that's actually Gretzky. The greatest of all time, if you ask me, Mr. Michael Jordan. Jonathan Williams, Sarah, super chat.
Happy 22nd birthday to my youngest, Allie Williams.
Devin is just hitting us with and by the way, congrats and happy 22nd to Allie. Hope you enjoy it, Jonathan. Should be a great weekend. Devin is hitting us with a barrage, I think is the right way to put it, of super chats today. This might be Douglas H. Brown Sr.'s episode, Sarah, because he's sort of set the precedent. And it may also be Richard's episode as well, since he dropped a 50 burger. But we got to start counting Devin because he wants to be heard. Now, this guy's got something to say today.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Devin's not messing around.
Oh, yeah. And Douglas is like, I'm still working, guys. I don't know what that. Oh, he's not retired. Is that what he means?
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah, because I said he was spending his retirement on us, but I get you're still working, but I'm even building a retirement. I hope you are, Bobby. I hope everybody is.
Yes. Yes, I'm glad this makes me feel better that he's still working, doesn't it? We have quick hits to get to. We're so glad that you guys are here with us on this Friday. We will get to more super chats and gift givings as they come in. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're coming up on 25,000 subscriptions. Let me go ahead and refresh that number since we started, Sarah, because that's a great milestone for us that we are really, really excited to hit. We are 36 subscriptions out from 25,000. If you join us on a daily basis because of your algorithm, you may not know it and just haven't subscribed in the past. You may just have forgotten. If you could all check that for us, that would be great. And if you're in the Twitter space, if you could pop over to YouTube and help us hit that number, we would be really, really grateful. It really helps us out in the brand sponsor space. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. You can hit that notification bell and go check out the vaultpod.com if you haven't already done so. It's our brand new apparel line that we rolled out just this past Monday. Sarah, this was the big AFC North news from yesterday. I'll let you lead us in to quick hits.
Okay, but just help me, remind me. I started counting how many gifts Douglas gave because I'm very curious. I'm going to keep my mouse over it. I'm at 29, so let me know.
Wow. Okay, I'm ready.
And I'm not even close to the bottom of this list. So he's at 29 where I'm at. Okay. Yes. So obviously we've been hearing lots about TJ Watt and the Steelers. Remember, there was even a report about potentially willing to be traded. Both of us called the bluff. We were like, okay, this is just negotiation tactics where you get the fan base kind of riled up. But Bobby, as we know, it's deadlines that spur activity in this league, especially when you're talking about the Ravens or the Steelers in the way that they do business. And with the Steelers coming up on training camp, they got a massive deal done with their star, pass rusher. He's been a game wrecker in the past against the Ravens and really against the whole NFL. He is now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. And this is for the second time in his career. So he signed a 3-year, $123 million extension. That includes, could you imagine getting this check? $108 million, fully guaranteed at signing. Here's a check, $108 million at signing. The $41 million per year average is the highest of any non-quarterback in the NFL history. The deal has been in the works between we don't need all that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
This is massive. And look at where it puts him. You see the non-QB stat that Schefter added from the agent speaker almost in a sense. But look at where he stacks up just overall. And our guest today has it, of course, because Warren Sharp's always working. And only 5 players average more than TJ Watt. That's Dak. They're all quarterbacks. No surprise. It's Dak. It's Stafford. It's Burrow. It's Lamar. And it's Kyler. TJ Watt is averaging $41 million per year. That is 6th, 2, 4, 6. And the only 5 players ahead of him, just to reiterate, are quarterbacks. He is a game wrecker, Sarah. In recent seasons, he has not been, if memory serves, anywhere near 100%, typically for the second time around that Ravens Steelers meet, and yet he still finds a way to have an impact. That, to me, is the epitome of heart. It's the epitome of toughness. He's been everything and more, and he will continue to be, I would think, unless some cliff comes out of nowhere, which would be very surprising given the numbers that Pittsburgh's just doled out for him. And what an offseason it's been in terms of payment. I mean, think about what to DK Metcalf. Think about what they've now given to TJ Watt. You go and get Aaron Rodgers. That wasn't obviously, it wasn't exactly a pretty penny, but they've had a very busy offseason. Whether it translates remains to be seen. But this is a player that, yes, is on the other side of that 30 number, but he is still somebody that's capable of wrecking you.
Absolutely. And to your point, like just the Steelers have been, they've been paying free agents. And in the past, that's not what they did. And so we'll see. We've seen a lot of teams that were not the Steelers that like pay other people's free agents. In this case, it's obviously their own. And TJ Watt, based off of his play, very deserving of these historical marks. But you also kind of wonder, is the strategy going to work? Because it usually doesn't work for other teams. It's usually draft well. Meanwhile, if you want to compare what TJ has made compared to his brother JJ in 12 years over his whole career, JJ Watt made $129.7 million. TJ's new 3-year contract is $123 million. Only $6 million less. $6 million less in a 3-year span versus 12. You better believe JJ Watt saw that. Quote retweeted and said, "I swear if this guy even lets me begin to reach for my wallet at dinner."
That's awesome. That is really awesome. Don't forget too, pretty darn good lineage here going on in the Watt family. They got a third brother, Derek Watt, who also played. I don't know if he's still playing. I don't think he's still playing, but he was a fullback in this league. And so the Watt family, he has not played since 2022 for Pittsburgh. Ironically, he was a fullback, played his college football at Wisconsin. But this is football royalty, really, the Watt brothers.
It's unreal how much athleticism runs through those family genes.
I know,
Bobby, let's not forget the iconic stiff arm to TJ Watt from Lamar Jackson, as in Lamar's words, baptizing him as he went straight to the ground. And the Ravens have figured out how to use their pass rush against them with Derrick Henry. We talked about Warren Sharp. Warren Sharp was saying people started to copy the Steelers. But remember, the Ravens last year seemed to figure out what the Steelers were doing with this duo. And so let's hope that they can apply it to other teams that try to steal it. Obviously didn't work in the first half against the Bills. But, I just have to say, I don't think, while Lamar Jackson respects him, I don't think he's scared.
This is certainly frame-worthy. You'd like to think this one's going to be hung up for many years to come. when it comes to this rivalry. As we know, full body of work throughout the Lamar era. Yes, he has missed a lot of games. The Steelers have had the last laugh. They got to continue to change that narrative as they did well last year in the postseason. That game really was not that competitive at all in the wild card in Baltimore. More quick hits as we roll on. Mike Williams is a veteran wide receiver, and he is retiring. And that's what he informed the Chargers this week. He's walking away after 8 seasons, as Ian Rappaport notes here, 2 of which eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark.
Lots of Greg Roman jokes out there, Bobby.
Oh,
Mike Williams couldn't handle that type of offense.
Is that what you saw out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. People always have fun with Giro, man, especially for wide receivers. Not exactly paradise for that position when he's your offensive coordinator, now is it?
Oops.
CJ Mosley, CJ reached out to his representation this morning to try and get him on, being that he just retired recently. He and his longtime business partner, by the way, who's got Baltimore ties, Brandon is his name. We met him in Vegas a couple years ago on Radio Row. They are starting an agency together, so congratulations to them. But you pulled this one in. He recently sat down with the WJZ guys.
That's right. My question to him about returning to the Ravens was a couple years too soon because he was still with the Jets. But we picked up the news a little while ago that he did have conversations about returning. And then with WJZ, he went into detail about what those conversations sounded like.
Ravens, post-release, I talked to Ozzie, so it was just cool to hear from him again. I hadn't really talked to him, since I left the Ravens, so it was always good, hear and talk to him. But I just kept it honest with him. I told him about, my injury update, how I was feeling. So, I sent over, my medical stuff, and that's kind of was the end of that.
Ravens fans, though, were drooling over the fact that there could have been an opportunity to have you back in the purple and the black, especially with this defense and all the star-studded names. So Baltimore was your top choice if you had one more year.
It's my only choice. That's the only team I talked to, at least. So, it would have been obviously been a great, fairy tale ending, playing under a former teammate with Zach. I talked to him a little bit, so, he went through the same, well, I don't know if it was the same injury, but, his career ended short because of a neck injury. So I had talked to him, way before any of this came involved anyway, just to kind of get insight, how he went through it and what he was feeling. But it definitely would have been cool. But another time, another life.
Gosh, is he likable, Sarah? I really enjoyed talking with him as we did a couple years ago on Radio Row. But I'm sure why you brought this in. We knew they had interest. That kind of tells you they feel like they can still improve at that position in the middle of the field.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Or maybe have some insurance there in case it doesn't with these young guys. Yeah, would have been nice.
Yeah.
But it was funny the way he was like, yeah, I sent over my medicals and that was the end of that.
Yep. Yep. Unfortunately, that's what kind of sidelined him really throughout a good portion of his tenure with New York, which is such a bummer. Such a bummer.
Absolutely. Would have loved to have him back. Meanwhile, we saw the news yesterday come on while we were live, and the Ravens and Mike Green finally came to an agreement, as many second rounders had not until one of the dominoes fell. So Brian McFarland pointing out that it is a 4-year deal, as we knew it would be because of his draft slot at $7.4 million throughout. His cap number this year will only be $1.3 million. What Brian did not have yet, which is what I'm curious about. TY asking him, I'm curious how much guaranteed money he got, because that's what the holdup was with all the second rounders. Brian just says, well, last year's 59th overall pick had a 54.01% of his deal guaranteed. That should jump because, Bobby, the domino that made everything fall was 88% yesterday.
Yeah.
So we'll see where he's at between 54 and 88. I'm assuming where that will fall at some point. I'm sure we'll find out.
And more from Brian as well.
Oh, yeah. So he was looking at, this is a quote retweet, but it was too much to pull in. But somebody had done a lot of research on edge signings and projecting out. And so Brian, who I trust with the cap more than anybody, put together based off of this person named Daniel, his research. He feels like for OA, if he was in that kind of category, he said, Ravens fans, how would you do a deal with OA at 4 years, $88 million? What say you, Mr. Trossett?
4 years, 88.
I'll say this, like, to me, and I've said it before,
I don't know.
it's all about Mike Green.
Yeah.
Like, if you've got Mike Green, cap number is 1.3 this year. It's going to go up little by little. He's not going to be making a ton. And if he shows that he can be the next guy, then you don't need to be paying $22 million a year for OA. And I accidentally put in CJ Mosley's picture on this, so my bad.
Well, you love him so much that you wanted to see more of him.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
know.
exactly what it was.
Right now, no.
There's so much context because there's Mike Green, but there's also so much money to go around. You also have to talk about priorities. Like, if there's only so much money to go around, obviously you're trying to extend Lamar. And now you've also got Isaiah Likely. You've got Kyle Hamilton, who's the biggest priority of all. You've got Tyler Linderbaum. And so, like, all of this, like, in a vacuum, sure, let's re-sign Owe for 4 years, $88 million. He's showing that he's worth that market. But you have to think of it outside of just that vacuum. It has to be Kyle Hamilton, Linderbaum, Likely, extending Lamar, all of that. And so, to me, Owe, especially if Mike Green is playing well, is the lowest priority out of those 4 guys I just named.
Yep, correct. I'm with you. Ken McCusick checked a Philly graphic recently. It's a graphic that looks at 5 quarterbacks and their career records when throwing the ball 30-plus times. Mahomes is 66-22. I mean, who knows if this is true, though, because Ken's checking them on Lamar's, who they have at 19-15.
Which they're off by less than 1%, so it's not crazy off.
True.
Yeah.
True. Ken came in and is like, look, he's actually 21-16 for a 56% winning percentage when throwing 30-plus times. The Ravens are 50-8 when he starts and throws fewer than 30 times. They are 47-3 when he starts and throws 27 or fewer. This is so Ken right here. This is in the weeds. I love it. 47-3 when he starts and throws 27 or fewer passes. He's capable of 500-plus attempts and 4,500-plus yards, but it would likely result in fewer Ravens wins.
Bobby, we had a super chat a while ago that was asking, like, "Ooh, Lamar can throw for 5,000," and like we kind of had this debate, and I was like, "Yeah, of course he can, but like, why would you do that? That's like trying to take away. Like, why would you take away one of Tom Brady's superpowers or one of Patrick Mahomes' superpowers? Like, one of Lamar's superpowers is that he can do both. It's that he's a dual threat quarterback. And so it's like, yeah, he could throw for 5,000 yards, but what was mostly important is that you use all of Lamar Jackson and all of his threats. And when you use all of his threats, they end up winning more. And you make teams choose which one they want to stop, and he brings out the other one. So I think Ken is showing here the Ravens are best when they can do both.
And lastly, big sports programming, sports media news dropped this week. Fox Sports is bringing in Barstool Sports. They're going to collaborate together this college football season. And as Ryan Glasspiegel notes here, Dave Portnoy is essentially Fox's counter to Pat McAfee being invested in by ESPN a couple of years ago. They are dominating the college football scene on Saturday mornings. But Big Noon Kickoff's going to have something to say about that when Portnoy and other Barstool personalities will now be involved. This is an interesting shift in national sports media and leads you to believe that not only these guys' presences, but the digital side of what they do, networks are starting to really put value in that. They have been, but really taking this to new levels of investment. And I don't necessarily know how I feel about Dave Portnoy telling me about college football on a Saturday morning. But I have a lot of respect for him as a businessman. I'm sure Fox will figure out ways to use it as an entertainer rather than an analyst.
Right. Well, so I've never been into Barstool Sports. I've really never watched. I see clips like anybody else out on X and wherever else. But what I love about this, Bobby, I absolutely love this, is first, was it ESPN who got, first ESPN goes and gets Pat McAfee, who started on his own through social media and YouTube, like we're doing. Same with Barstool Sports. And so the direction is changing. Like, it's not, I need to be on TV in order to gain a platform, and then I will use TV to go and get a platform on social media. It's these guys built it up from social media, and now these TV guys are like, okay, well, instead of competing against it, I'm just going to buy it and use it to my advantage. And so I think it just once again gives it just shows that what we're doing is where sports media is heading, and maybe media beyond sports. But I love that's what we're doing. So many other Ravens content creators are doing. This is the way to do it. We're competing on social media, and those that have the biggest audiences and have the best content will rise to the top over time. And so I love the competition element of it. And I love that it's like, now you can start yourself and build your way up rather than needing to get the big break on TV and then leveraging it the other way. So just gives more credence to how we're covering sports.
I told a friend on the way out of the gym today, after chatting about yesterday's One More Thing that you first learned of through my One More Thing, which was the Coldplay viral video from that concert, and clear infidelity, a clear affair that was caught on the Jumbotron between the CEO and the HR of this astronomer company, and it went stupid viral, and both have wives and both have families and whatnot. And I used it as a way to say, because I thought that was so friggin' ironic and contradicting and sickening, that an HR CEO, right? HR is supposed to be the head of like workplace environment and what you're supposed to act like in a workplace. And yet she is, you don't want to jump to too many conclusions, but I think we can, given the video and some of the context here, but she is cheating on her husband with the CEO of her company and an employee of hers, or excuse me, a coworker, her boss, essentially. How ironic is that for the HR director to be doing so? And it's a long way of saying, I told this woman on the way out of the workout, I never want to work in a corporate environment ever again. And some of that has to do with just what we witnessed from this, again, this contradiction, this ridiculousness from the Coldplay viral video. But most of it is out of pride and admiration and enjoyment for what we've done the last 3 years. It's been so incredibly fulfilling. And outside of family, it's something that I'm incredible. Like, I really hang on my hat, and I know you do as well. And it's been such a joy to know that there are others within this live chat, within our subscription audience base, that feel similarly and that are literally catapulting us in recent months. I'm so excited about what's to come, and I am as motivated as ever to do the things behind closed doors that go into what we do in front of those doors, or in front of the camera, if you will. And I know we're going to do that moving forward.
Finish up with super chats.
I'm freaking glad you brought this in.
Yeah.
Let's finish things up because more have trickled in. And we left off with,
and I do need to speed through it because we got to get on the road over here.
Yeah, you and me both. Yvette writes, by the time this season starts, the show will be off the rails. # love the vault. I think it already is, Yvette.
Yeah.
Gregory Lee, now I can't even speak because we're just getting that 2-hour mark. Gregory Lee with super chat. Appreciate you, Greg. Happy Friday to you. Nate Campbell, Sarah, is celebrating 2 months of channel membership.
He says, can't stand the playoff record narrative around Lamar. One Super Bowl run gets you over 500, i.e. Burrow and Stafford.
Appreciate you, Nate.
That's one of the reasons why Joe Flacco's playoff. I mean, he had a great playoff record.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
What's up, Brian? Appreciate the super chat. Hope you're having a great Friday. Douglas is apologizing for what? I was out of the chat for a while, and can you guys give me the email address again? What I'll do is go ahead and throw the banner down below. So it's on the ticker. BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. Douglas is where everybody can reach out with questions about the merch, feedback for the vaultpod.com, really anything that's on your mind. It's a great way to reach us. Discord's a great way to reach me too. I've been in there quite often, and that channel and that community is growing.
By the way, I
Ryan-
counted 46 memberships gifted from Douglas H. Brown. That was just while you were talking in between, so I could be wrong, but I got 46. Thank you, Douglas.
Okay, so but you left off with 29, right? When you recounted.
Right, and then I went back and finished to 46. Yeah.
Okay. This is a new one, new name. Ryan K. Johns checking in.
Oh, JR's back in
Oh no.
JR.
And not to discount in the slightest from Ryan what
Sorry,
he just
Ryan.
popped in, right? Because Sarah's looking at what I can't look at because I'm multitasking. And Ryan says, blessings on blessings with my favorite emoji in the world. Keep it up. We appreciate you, Ryan. Not to be outdoed or outdone.
Done. There you go.
Thank you. By JR Crypto, who is back for more. It's a $99.99. And JR, Sarah's for you. This is Reddish Banner. And she's back.
JR is so back. Sup to the Voltron family. In and out of meetings. We'll have to watch the replay to hear what Warren Sharp dropped. You definitely need to go back and listen to that. If you guys didn't hear that, we're going to pull it out. We'll make it its own video. But that was chock full of incredible information. JR goes on to say, my Vault merch will be here today. Bobby and Sarah, I need to hear it. Bobby? 'Cause my mic won't allow it. My mic won't allow it.
Bobby, come in and do the dirty work. Yes, I will.
Yes, that one was good. That one was good. That was a good version of it. And shout out, she says, to PHP #20&0. Woo!
JR, appreciate you. Happy Friday. Man, you have had one heck of a week. Kenny wants to know if there's international shipping. Yes, there. Oh, okay. For Warren Sharp. We don't know the answer to that. There is international shipping for the vaultpod.com. So he's not on right now, but Kenny might be a little bit behind with us. But JR, thank you so much. What an incredible, generous week from you. And yes, to Sarah's point, Warren Sharp's interview will be available as a separate entity, a separate video coming up at 4 o'clock Eastern later this afternoon. Partner, let's get our patrons in here. If you need to go ahead. Let's get them in here. Lauren Wunderlich and Bill Justice. Thank you both for believing in what we're building. This is your monthly shout out. You guys have access to the vaultpod.com. Hopefully you've checked your direct messages by now so that you can log in, use the password, use our discount code, and check out what we have available to you at the vaultpod.com. So thanks to both of you for all the love and support and the continued interest in what we're doing. I think with that, at the 2-hour countdown or just south of it, it's time to go. We'll be back on Monday. The vaultpod.com becomes available to everyone coming up on Wednesday. And Sarah, we just, of course, added a few merch items that we're really excited about.
Mm-hmm.
It's some meshy material. I keep saying that. It's Under Armour material.
Dry fit.
Yes, dry fit Under Armour. It's a bucket hat. It's these polos right here. This is the shirt that we were just referencing. The bucket hat is actually super clean, and I feel like people are going to show up to training camp in that hot Baltimore sun rocking these two things right here. So koozies, miscellaneous things like coffee mugs, magnets, stickers. We're so excited. It's been a successful week. And Sarah, we can't wait to make this thing available to everybody coming up next week. I hope you have an awesome getaway, partner.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Son's 16th birthday tomorrow. He's actually in Indiana at a camp. So it's a parents' weekend. So we're going to go spend it with him. Should be a blast. 5-hour drive ahead.
Awesome. Give Gardy my best.
Drive.
Just an hour and 20 minutes to Cooperstown.
All right.
Yeah. So make sure you tell Gardy I said hello. Definitely miss hearing from him, but I'm sure we'll catch up upon his return. And everybody have a safe and fantastic weekend. I'll be in Cooperstown, New York, getting a little bit of Lake R&R time in, and then the birthday weekend's coming up next week in New York. So I got to update you on a lot of things, and we will have plenty more to come next week, including the start of full send training camp. Everybody will be there, and we're going to celebrate accordingly because the vaultpod.com becomes available on Wednesday. And Devin Jean-Pierre must love us here, pronounce his name because he's gifted yet another channel membership, Sarah. Who knows where we're at in terms of overall numbers with that, but we're in good standing.
Jean-Pierre is going to be up there with Douglas H. Brown. That's for sure today.
I will tell you this. Leading into today, we had 709 channel members because it resets every day. We've already hit the 1,000 threshold, but it resets every day. And then we took our vacation. 709. We're well over. I mean, we got to be probably inching closer to 1,000 after today's live stream. So thank you guys so much for all the generosity, for all the support this week. Have a fantastic weekend. For Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Friday edition.
37 for Devin Jean-Pierre. Just had to get that in there. Thank
37.
you.
Thank you for counting. And thank you to Be More Around Town for sponsoring this episode. Again, you know the drill. If you book a full Ravens away trip experience with them, they're going to give you 2 complimentary VIP tickets, purple tailgate passes to a 2025 home tailgate of your choice. All that information can be found in the show notes below. And when you support our brand sponsors, you're supporting us. For Sarah, I'm Bobby signing off. We'll catch up with you on Monday, if not before. And as always, Voltrons, we appreciate you for spending some time with us